Hello, this is Jon Kopperup from EMD. In this video I'll talk about the mask exporter, which is made as a helping tool mainly for doing rubber work in photo montages, but it can also be used to create more realistic looking 3D models where you can raise some parts of the model to vertical. But I'll not go into those parts, but only talk about the rubbering helping situation that you can have with photomontages. I have a photomontage here where you can see I have some trees that is standing out there in the middle of this field, and those trees should actually go in front of these panels here, and it should go behind these panels right here. And you can see actually the tree should also go straight into the middle between those two lines of fences down here. So that is a very complex rubber situation to solve if you should use the rubber tool here in photomontage. So this can be done instead using the SketchUp integration tool, and you can see here I have exported the project to SketchUp, and I can quickly show you what it is about. What we end up with is that we create, this is what I call a mask, and you can see here you have projected the image of this of the trees out here on this object here. So when you see it from the camera position, it looks just right. And then of course you can export this to Photomontage, and then it looks just right in the Photomontage as well. So that is what it is all about, to create a mask. I'll just show you how you can do that. So the exporter here, it works together with obstacles. So first I will insert an obstacle that covers the trees that I want to make a mask for. So I'll take an obstacle here and I'll insert it so it's roughly covering the trees that I want to make a mask for. And then I should give it a height. I'll just guessing 18 meter. So the important thing is that it should be high enough to completely cover the trees, which you can see it does. So there's no reason to make it bigger. It will just take more than needed resources. So I'll just make it a little smaller until it just covers the trees. That's fine. So I'll go back to the SketchUp exporter. And now I'll create one of those, and here it will use all visible obstacle objects, and there's only one, so that's just fine. And this is if I only want to export one side and not all sides of the obstacle. Yeah, that's you can experiment what you want, but I think I'll just take everything, the whole obstacle. Else I would only have, you know, this one side of the obstacle. Now since this side of the obstacle is also covering some parts of the trees that I need, I will take all sides of the obstacle. So I'll go back and then I'll just run the exporter. So what it did is that it cut out the part of the image that matches where the obstacle was placed. So now the idea is that I go into my favorite image editor, which in my case is Photoshop, and then I erase everything but the trees. So I'll just double click on this one to make it open in Photoshop. Right, so as you can see here, it's a PNG file. You can use other tools than Photoshop, but the important thing is that you should have some PNG file editor where you can make part of the image transparent, like I'm doing here. You can The best way to do it in Photoshop is by adding a mask, and then on the mask here you paint black. Now I'm using the brush tool, and I'm painting black in the areas where I want to delete stuff, and then if I find out that that was the wrong part, I just can paint white. So that's the way a mask works. So now I should go and paint black wherever there's no trees here in the foreground. So that can be a tedious job to do, but that's the same as you would do with the rubber tool in the WinPro, except that here I don't have to think about anything else than just erasing what is behind those trees. You can see I have installed a lot of different brushes that I can use for purposes like this. You can find brushes on the internet, or you can create them yourself. So it just makes life quite a bit easier sometimes. You can see here that these trees up here are way above the fence and everything, so I don't care so much about how the mask is created up here. So as you can see, this is of course very complex. You can spend hours and hours getting this correct. Well, very naked trees are the worst. So, but anyways, now I'm done, and I'm just saving the image. And then I go back to WinPro, and you can see after I saved it, WinPro automatically detects that I done that, and then I just said OK, and then it says the export's done. Oops, and I'm messing about here, and then in SketchUp you can see that the trees are now put here into the 3D model. So that is looks a bit strange here, and now maybe you can understand why you may want to use the option only. You saw this option over here in the mask exporter, that you could export only the longest side. If you had selected that one, it would have only exported one side here. But it's not really too important, because you cannot see that the object is kind of strange. So, but you can see that it goes in front of everything it needs to go in front of, because it's placed right here. So it's in front of the panels in the yellow area, and it's behind everything that is here in this part of the image. Now, when I exported it, I did not check this one here. So I could have done that, and then it would have automatically gone into WinPro. But now I just do it manually, and that is of course very easy to do. I just click on the object, right click, and say export selected items to WinPro. And yeah, and you can see I have enabled bright ambient light on objects when importing from SketchUp, and that is important in this situation, because then else it would not get the exact same look as it has on the background image. We don't want to have any shading or anything else like that on it. And if you forget to check this here when you import it from SketchUp, you can also anytime go back into the 3D object and enable it yourself. Because what it means is actually that it just checks this checkbox in the 3D object that is created from SketchUp. So anyways, now I'll render it here in Photomontage. And here we have it. As you can see, it looks just the way it should. It goes exactly behind the panels in the front, and it goes behind this fence that it goes around the red area, and then it goes in front of everything else. And yeah, I made some transparent spots here in the center of it, and it looks pretty good. So that is a huge time saver if you're doing, and also a very secure way to make this kind of advanced rubber work here that you see. So that was about it. One thing I should mention is that if you look very closely, you can see that the trees get just a tiny bit blurry, the part that is a part of the mask layer. So that is just the way it is. But in most cases, it's not a problem, I think. But that was all. Thank you for watching, and please subscribe for our YouTube channel so you'll get notified when we put up new videos. And thank you for watching.